So my name is Jaden and I make weekly videos explaining how to improve yourself as an autistic man on the autism spectrum. So I've been putting this video off for quite a while now, but you know what I realized? I just need to do it. So I've decided to click record, made a script, and I hope this video gives you value and helps you in your life. So if you've got any video suggestions, maybe about a topic that I'm talking about in this video or an offshoot topic that maybe you might have a comment on, leave a comment below and I may make a video about that. So let's get into the start of this video. So just a disclaimer for the start of this video. All the things that I talk about are from my point of view and that have helped me. It may not help you, but I'm hoping that because I've put my channel out there, I do help X amount of people because that's what I truly want to do. I feel like there's people out there that might resonate with what has worked for me and that might end up helping them. So I hope that this helps you. And because I put this channel off for a long time and I didn't want to record myself. I never ever wanted to start this channel because I knew that, well, what am I? What's the point of starting this channel? Who's going to listen to me? I didn't think anyone would listen to me. And I would never be able to speak in front of the camera this fluently. Just go look at my first video I ever made, which is about maybe a year ago from today, or maybe about 9 months ago. So go check that out after this video because you can really see how much I've improved and how much my speaking skills have, improved from the start. But you know what? I'm glad I never listened to that big voice in my head that told me, no, you can't start this YouTube channel. No, you can't speak in front of the camera. Because I know if I was the way I was before, I would have 100% listened to that voice and I wouldn't have started this channel today and I wouldn't be where I'm at today without this YouTube channel. So let's get straight into the video. So the first point I want to talk about is how autism has affected me during my daily life and my past and how it may affect my future, because I was diagnosed at 16 years old, and once I first got diagnosed, that felt like a big relief off my shoulders. It felt like a big stack of bricks had been removed from my shoulders because I knew that, okay, that's why I always used to think I'm different. Why am I different? I remember having thoughts in class, primary school, thinking something is different. Something is not right about me. Keep in mind, I was diagnosed with dyslexia and auditory processing in about probably year 2. So for some reason, they never diagnosed it as being autistic, or they never thought to give me a diagnosis. Maybe I was masking it. Maybe as I grew up, I had showed my autism better because of the stresses and the pressure. Fast forward it to 2019. That's when I got my diagnosis for autism, and everything started to make sense on the ways I acted, the ways I felt, my anxiety, my depression, and so on. But I think in that time, about 2019, that stack of bricks was removed off my shoulders. But the next problem came where it was like, hold on a second, what do I do now? Is this it? Is this how I am? Will I not be able to change? Will I not be able to get this burden, which it wasn't a burden, off my shoulders? Because I knew that this is how I am. And maybe I might not be able to change the way I want. So that caused me to get into a really, really big depression in 2019, which could have ended my life because I had a lot of suicidal thoughts and I was in a very low state of mind, which a lot of other autistics like you would resonate with and probably have been through that. You're probably going through that right now, but trust me, there is a way out and you can get better. You can get over the wall. It's a very hard hurdle to jump over. It's a very high wall to jump over, but you can get over that wall. That will make you happier in life and hopefully get rid of depression and anxiety. But I'm still glad that I had the diagnosis because I know that if I hadn't had the diagnosis, I'd be at the point where I would be confused. I wouldn't know why I'm the way I am and how to fix it. Not just fix it. It's not that I'm trying to fix autism, but I'm trying to be the best version of myself that I can be, because if I become the best version of myself, I'm going to feel better, I'm going to have a better life, and I'm going to cognitively do better with my work, maybe with study if I ever do study, or my racing, which is my passion, working on cars, racing cars, karting, not motorbikes because 2 wheels is just too much for me and I don't want to fall off and die, so not motorbikes. So I'm not going to go too much into detail with my whole life story today, but I thought I would talk about glimpses and problems and issues that I had as a child. So it was very apparent at a young age that I would get very, very obsessed with things. I was very obsessed with Thomas the Tank Engine and also Cars. Cars 1 movie, Cars 2 movie. I got very obsessed with from a young age. But one of the things cognitively that I knew that I was slower than other people was, say, it took me probably a term and 2 terms to do my times tables and learn my times tables. I could never understand what times tables meant. I didn't understand what is 10 times 1 or what is 2 times 1. And I remember the day that it clicked for me and I was like, oh, that now it makes sense. But I remember everyone in the class thinking, are you dumb? Are you stupid? Like, how can you not know this? I remember getting that vibe from people because I used to ask them, what is this? I don't understand. And I think the worst thing was knowing, even at that young age, I knew that I had auditory processing and dyslexia. So it kind of was a burden off my shoulders in like, oh, okay, I do have those things and I had to accept it. So I already learned how to accept my auditory processing or my dyslexia at a young age. Probably the thing that I still can't do today, and I can admit this, I'm not fussed, is tie my shoes. So I've got a special way of tying my shoes, and it's the only way I could ever tie shoes. I don't know why, but tying knots, just it repels me because it's so difficult. I don't know how you can see what the 2 loops are doing. I don't understand how you can thread something in this way and your fingers have to turn. It's so confusing and so overwhelming. I can't do knots. So my mum actually found a video on how to do a knot very easily, and that's what I use till this day. And that took me probably till 12 years old to 11 years old to actually know how to tie my shoes. And the other thing, reading a clock, another very difficult thing for me. That also took a long time to learn. An analog clock, that is, not digital. So, yeah, that took me probably till I was 14, maybe 13, to learn how to read a analog clock. Because again, it's so confusing. How do you know, okay, this hand's there, this hand's there? I couldn't count them. Both of the hands would confuse me. If there was one hand on the clock, I think it wouldn't confuse me and I would understand. But as soon as there was two hands on the clock, no. Overwhelming, couldn't do it. But I knew eventually I would. And I'm happy I can read a clock today. One of the most difficult things that I found as a child was trying to find the sport that I fit into. The sport that I know, yep, this is what I want to do for my life, or this is what I would like to do for a long period of time, because I knew that my father really wanted me to have a focus on a sport and wanted me to be committed, just like how he was in footy. And we tried everything: tennis, footy, basketball, soccer, you name it. We tried everything, but nothing stuck with me. Nothing really glued to me as, yep, this is me. And that's where my father actually had a day where he went out to Mullalaa Motorsport Park, which is a race car track, and he got a drive in not really a V8 supercar, but it was a low-level stock V8 supercar, so a race car. And he taught me about the racing line. So after that, I went on to Gran Turismo and played that and was like, oh, Dad, the things you explained to me, the racing line, how to drive, how to brake, it feels amazing. How about I start go-karting? And I knew what was going through my mother's head. This is going to be expensive. This is not going to be what he wants to do. He's just going to go on to the next sport. And that's where my phase of going to an indoor go-kart track started. And I'm happy that I had the opportunity at 9 years old to start going there, because that was the only go-kart track that was open and available for 9-year-olds in South Australia. So we'd be there every 2 weeks. I'd be doing laps. But Dad never wanted me to buy a go-kart because he just thought it was another phase I was going through. But it wasn't until there was a come and try day at Monardo Go-Kart Club, that's when it was like, yep, Mum, let's go to this come and try day. Let's do it. Because if I do this come and try day, hopefully that would help my parents, get a go-kart. Because they really just thought it was a phase. But I honestly don't think 3 years is a phase. And I know I could blame my dad and say, I could have been karting 3 years younger, but it was expensive. $1,000 to $2,000 for a go-kart, plus your fuel, plus your membership, plus all the other expenses, tires, gear, helmet. So I'm very grateful that my parents bought me a go-kart at such a young age, which was 11 years old, is when I started practicing at Southern Go-Kart Club. And that has been my addiction since. I've been about 10 years down the track now. It's 2024. I started in 2014. And I knew that was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, or for a long period of time and still think about it to this day. So yeah, that's pretty much how my karting career started. And this was, mind you, this was before I got diagnosed with autism. So it wasn't apparent that I had autism, but I did have a lot of struggles through karting, through high school, and so on. Because again, with high school and primary school, it's not that I was bullied at high school or primary school. My experience was a bit different because I felt like this is pretty bad to be in this situation. People didn't acknowledge me. People didn't think I was a human being. People didn't think I was there. So I was more so ignored. So that caused me to get into a, how do I describe it? Negative self-talk. Negative self-talk. That's all I knew. That's all I understood from a young age. All I knew is I wasn't good enough. I can't do this. What do others think of me? Why can't I be better than other people? And this was a habit. This was a habit and a train of thought through my belief system, that I had put in my head. So I think getting out of that thought and belief system has been the biggest struggle that I've ever had to deal with in my life. But it's possible to get out of it. And I've proven it. And that's why I want to provide value to you by doing these YouTube videos to help you get out of this same rut that I was in. So now we skip to the most depressive part of my life, where I truly hit rock bottom, because this era was probably the worst. I had the worst feeling. I couldn't control myself, my emotions. And as I said previously, I couldn't see the other side of the wall. I couldn't see the other side of the door because I never believed that there was a door to the next chapter of my life. I believed it would never get better again, or I would never figure it out. So that caused me to get into a deep depression in 2019, which was the year I got diagnosed. The day I got diagnosed, I thought, yeah, this is great. This is going to make me better. This is blah, 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 blah. But no, it actually made me worse, because it was like, well, what's next? Why can't I see the future? Why can't I see me doing anything greater than what I am now? Because of all that negative self-talk over the years. It's just a build-up. It builds up, builds up, builds up. All those negative thoughts that you've ever thought in the past has made you to what you are. And that's what happened. All those negative stuff, all the negative times, everything that happened at work or happened at school, the way I felt, the way I thought about myself, it was just a byproduct of the way I was, which was in 2019. I couldn't wake up. It was a very big struggle to wake up without having suicidal thoughts. And I think waking up was the worst part of my day. Waking up, I dreaded it. Imagine what happens when you first wake up. You're conscious, right? As soon as I was conscious, bang, negative thoughts straight away. I don't think I had moments where I would just stay in bed. I couldn't even get out of bed. It was that bad. And it would just be a constant anxious feeling just right in my core of my heart. Because, as I said, I had built up those negative feelings and have positioned myself where that was the best thing I could do. So I want to talk about my work because this is something that I'm grateful for, and I'm grateful that I got a job at when I was 14. So I was 14 when I had my first job, and it was stressful. I had people who didn't respect me, people who didn't understand me. And that was the biggest thing about this, people who didn't understand me. That made the work life so much worse. And I remember just dreading going to my first job because it was pretty much just a retail job. But there was one particular person in there that I had to end up pulling the pin on that specific area because I was like, this guy's just doing my head in. I can't work with him anymore because he never understood me. He just thought I was being bad. He thought I wasn't doing the right job. But really, if he just let me had more time and learn it better and process, I would have been valuable. And I ended up being a valuable team to that job. I ended up being a valuable team member, and I was good at specific things. Sometimes not as good as others at other specific things, but there was some things that I just excelled in and probably was the best at that job. And people couldn't believe I could do that so quickly or do that so fast or do things so efficiently. So that was my first job as a retail team member at specific place. But my second job was an apprenticeship at, again, I'm not going to say the place, but I'm just going to say an apprenticeship as a mechanic. And I thought this time it's going to be different. This time I'm going to be able to go in there, talk about, yep, I have autism. I'm making this clear. I have these problems. And I hope they understand. Again, I was about halfway into the first week and I just had a total meltdown. I'm like, I can't do this. I got pissed off at one of the workers and then I ended up having to apologize. But my mum had to end up going in and speaking to him because he truly didn't understand what I was like. He didn't know that I needed the time to, what do you call it? To gain momentum to become a valuable worker. And that's what's something that he didn't have. He didn't have the patience. He couldn't wait for me to get better. He just wanted me to be good then. So fast forward to about 3 months later, after that apprenticeship, I get offered a job as a mobile mechanic. And my boss here, still close to him to this very day, we are very tight together, and he gave me that opportunity to excel at this job. He gave me that opportunity to, yeah, I was a bit slow to start off with, and he admitted that, but he was happy to be patient with me and train me up. And I ended up becoming, from what he said, the best rookie that he's ever had, which is, I'm pretty happy to say, like, wow, I can do it. I can be better than what I think I am. I just need the time to process the things, because I found that with my processing, you may be the same. But once one thing goes into your ear, it comes out the other, because it's like, it can't actually process those things because I visually couldn't see it, or I visually couldn't understand what that meant because of all the other questions I have behind it. Hold on, why is it like that? But why is it like this? So until that I understood the questions that my brain had made up, such as, oh, why is it like that? That doesn't make sense. then I would understand it. And that's what that previous job didn't understand. They didn't understand me with the apprenticeship. They didn't get who I was or how I was. And I'm so grateful that my boss there, my previous one, he gave me that opportunity. So that lasted about 1.5 years, 2 years, because I ended up figuring out that being a mechanic was not my purpose. It wasn't what I wanted to do in my life. Did I want to risk my body? Did I want to risk my mental health? Because I know being in the mechanic scene, it doesn't make you feel good at all. It just kind of feels like, yeah, you have to be here and it's not a good job, it's crap. Everyone around you just feels miserable. That's what it feels like. So I decided that, no, I'm going to regret this in 10 years' time. If I go down this path, I'm going to be saying, why did I start this job? Why did I start being a mechanic? Because it was the only thing I knew. And that's where I end up today, which is I'm at an indoor go-kart track, and I've really enjoyed my time there and enjoyed trying to make the go-karts as fast and as best as possible, because I had a clear purpose there. I had a clear reason to be there. At the previous job, it was a bit less, like I didn't have a clear reason to be there. But because I'm back being a mechanic at a go-kart track, I knew that, okay, this is my time to figure out, what do I want to do moving forward? What do I need to do moving forward? What do I might want to do that maybe I don't want to do, but I know will benefit me? Because you always need a plan B. You never can rely on plan A. I don't have a plan A yet, but I do have my plan B. I do have my plan C. I could go back to my previous job. I could start a business in that previous job. So I've decided that, okay, I need to try to up my skills as a bike mechanic, because I know that that's not such a labor-intensive job. It's not going to hurt my body, and it's also mentally not going to ruin me. So that is my plan moving forward, being a bike mechanic. And I really enjoy working on bikes. And as I said, this is a plan B. This isn't a plan A. This isn't what I want to do for all my life moving forward. This is something to get me by and help me get a qualification in if all else fails. So that's my important tip for you today. Always have a plan B, because everything may not go to plan. Things change, and that's what's happened to me. I thought in school, I was set on being a car mechanic. I knew that, yep, this is what I want to do. This is 100% my pathway. And now look where I am. I'm talking in front of a camera. I never thought I would be at this point. I never believed in myself that I could ever do this, because my communication is horrible. My speech is horrible. But if you truly believe you can do something, if you truly believe in yourself and work on it, because that's what a lot of people don't do these days. A lot of people with autism that I have seen, they like to give up so easily. They truly don't put in the work. They don't try. They don't try to get momentum to become better. And that's what I urge from you today, to understand that you can do it if you put your mind to it. Yes, it might be hard. Yes, you might struggle. But in the end, was it worth it? Have you gained valuable skills from it? Yes. So, it's difficult to be an autistic in this world. But isn't that the fun of being autistic? Isn't that the fun of difficulty? Because I figured out that difficulty is what makes life fun. If you never had any difficulty and everything was easy, nothing would hold value. The value of life would be zero. The difficulty is what makes it fun. The difficulty is what makes life life. Because if you never had difficulty, it wouldn't be valuable. So you got to learn how to embrace the difficulty and understand that this is part of life. The difficulty is what you need to become a greater person. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe to watch more educational content about autism and how to be a more independent man on the autism spectrum. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good day.